Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to be talking about the untold history of Lekki and why it's the new gold mine. Why everyone is rushing to own land in Lagos. And for my subscribers who are new here, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you being here, and trust me, there are quite a number of them. So stay tuned and make sure you like this video. Let's get into it. In this series, we take you around the nooks and crannies of Lagos State, Nigeria, taking a look at some of the beautiful sights and landscapes that abound in this state. You know, it's everywhere in the news, it's everywhere in the blogs. Everybody is talking about Lekki, and you would think that this sudden rise in the value of lands in Lekki is because of something that just happened recently. Right now, we already have the Lekki Free Trade Zone, the Lekki Deep Sea Port, Dangote Refinery, the biggest refinery in Africa. We have the Lekki Port, we have the Lekki International Airport, and so many more projects coming up in that axis. So once you are traveling from Lagos to EP or vice versa, you don't have to go through the gridlock that is on 3rd Mainland Bridge or Echo Bridge. You don't even have to go through Victoria Island or Dumota and see someone living in a shack and opposite that shack is a billionaire's mansion. No, you don't have to pass through any of the major cities in Lagos because the expressway goes around all of those places. There is this joke that people say these days that Lekki is the kind of place where you can drive in your car, and I would say it started with the Lekki Ikoyi Link Bridge. And when they get there and they see the beauty of the environment, they realize that there is gold in those lands. And so they start looking out for where they can get land in Lekki. He actually built a house in Lekki. Once that bridge was built, people started to see the possibility that Lekki had. And then you have the Freedom Park, which used to be a prison. I mean, there are a lot of celebrities that are moving to Lekki. You have people like Daddy Freeze. You have actress Eniola Badmus that recently bought a house in Lekki, so you can imagine how beautiful Lekki must be for people like Daddy Freeze and Eniola Badmus to move there. And it's a nice place to relax. You can get food, you can get drinks, you can sit outside and watch the sunset. And when that happens, the value of lands in Lekki would shoot up. But that is how it is in Lekki. It's a very nice place. Before then, Lekki was just seen as a place where Dangote and his friends were making money. But once the bridge was constructed and people started to enter Lekki from Ikoyi, they realized that Lekki was a gold mine. It's a very sharp contrast. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments section if you own land in Lekki or you have ever invested in land in Lekki. It's just a beach, but you know, you rarely find beaches in Lagos. Also, let me know if there are other places in Lagos that you want us to talk about. And finally, don't forget to like this video. Subscribe to the channel and share this video with your friends. See you in the next one. Bye. This has been the story of Lekki since the 80s. You have the rich living in the same area as the poor, and the interesting thing is that the standard of living is still improving. So that is another plus for Lekki. I mean, it's not a man-made tourist attraction. So this beach in Lekki is one of the most beautiful sights in Lekki, and so a lot of people like to hang out there. But no, that is not the case. The Lekki Regional Road, which is supposed to connect Lekki to EP, is currently ongoing, and it's almost completed. You know, sometimes when you live in Lagos Island or you live in mainland, you forget that there is something called nature. Lagos Island is so noisy and so busy that sometimes you forget that there are birds that fly in the sky and there are trees that grow in the ground. So that is one of the roads. But once you get to the conservation area, you remember that, oh yeah, we are in a country that is blessed with a lot of natural resources. So that is also a major attraction for Lekki, and that road leads all the way down to Shagamu in Ogun State. If you have a business and you want to expand your business, where would you put that business? Of course, you would put it in a place where there are a lot of opportunities for growth, for movement of goods, for easy transportation, and for making money. That is why companies are investing millions of dollars to set up businesses in the Lekki Free Trade Zone. Dangote Refinery invested over $15 billion into setting up their business in Lekki, and you can be sure that that money did not just go into the ground. No, it's also helping to develop the area. So it's basically connecting Lagos to Ibadan. Once there is employment, there would be need for housing, and all of these would lead to an increase in the standard of living in the area. That is why you find that when you go to Lekki, you would find people from all walks of life. There are the low class, there are the middle class, and there are the upper class. There are squatter settlements, and there are also very high-end neighborhoods. But then those places are already fully developed. But this is not so for Lekki. So Lekki is one of the most sought-after areas in Lagos right now. Even though in the past, people didn't understand why the price of lands was so high. And while I cannot guarantee that that would also be true in the next 10 years, because a lot can happen in 10 years, but definitely in the next 2 to 3 years, if you buy land in Lekki, you can be rest assured that you would make profits. So they ended up selling their lands for cheap when the opportunity came. In fact, there are a lot of factors that point towards the fact that Lekki is the next big thing in real estate. On one side, it has the Atlantic Ocean, and on the other side, it has the Lekki Lagoon. Now, how many locations do you know in Lagos that have both the Atlantic Ocean and a lagoon? Probably none. Well, I can think of 1 or 2. They don't have room for expansion anymore. But these days, everyone understands what the potential of EP is, and as such, everyone wants to invest in EP. If you ask any real estate developer or any real estate agent or even the average Nigerian who knows about Lekki, they will tell you that Lekki has always been an expensive place to buy land. Lekki is currently the best area to buy land if you want to sell for profit in the next few years. For instance, you have the beach, and this is not just based on opinion or what people say. There are facts to back this up. Like I said, it's a huge forest reserve. It's probably one of the biggest in Lagos. When we talk about Lekki, we are talking about a location that is surrounded by water bodies. For the part of Lekki that is close to the ocean, which we call Lekki Phase 1, it still has a lot of space that can be converted to different things. Not only that, the government is also putting in efforts to make sure that Lekki is well connected with the rest of the state. There is also the Lekki-EP Expressway. And the good thing about this expressway is that it bypasses the main city of Lagos. And you know, all of these projects attract investors. These developments bring a lot of people along with them. In fact, in the past 5 years, a lot of changes have occurred in the way people perceive Lekki. The first place that most people visit in Lekki is usually the Lekki Conservation Area. You know, most people like to come to the Lekki Conservation Area because it is a place where they can feel nature. There are also a lot of tourist attractions in Lekki. You also have the Lekki Conservation Center. I think Lekki is one of the best places to live in Lagos right now. In fact, I think the next thing that would happen in Lekki is the construction of a rail line. So that brings me to the end of today's video.